Welcome to the Portals 2023 Juror Talk. We have the Oresky here, and Melissa is a professor of painting and drawing at Illinois State University. Melissa Oresky's art practice is rooted in painting and collage, and her primary production is mixed media works on canvas and paper. Oresky is interested in landscape and considers it as a concept that bridges painting, lived experience, environmental consciousness, and imagination, working fluidly between abstraction and representation. Melissa Oresky's art practice is rooted in painting and collage, and her primary production is mixed media works on canvas and paper. Oresky is interested in landscape and considers it as a concept that bridges painting, lived experience, environmental consciousness, and imagination. Working fluidly between abstraction and representation, past work has focused on aspects of or locations within landscape, including glaciers, deserts, formal gardens, mineral structures, the colors of daylight, and the kinesthetic experience of viewing the ground or the sky while moving. Her current work is focused broadly on plants. While looking at plants as direct subject matter for artworks, she also enacts what could be considered a plant-like process in the studio by growing paintings or collages through iterative processes over long periods of time. Her studio activities follow other aspects of plant being, such as reflecting, filtering, and absorbing light to produce color and creating and reacting to material, atmospheric, and spatial conditions. Oresky often takes over a year to complete a piece while working on many ongoing pieces in the studio at once. She wants her work to convey the aliveness of plants, which humans tend to regard as objects rather than fully living organisms. Oresky has shown her work in painting, collage, and video nationally and internationally, with recent shows at Boundary Space Chicago, Tripod Space Project Busan, South Korea, Hyde Park Art Center, Chicago, Elmhurst Art Museum, Elmhurst, Illinois, Minnesota State University, Mankato, Minnesota, and K Imperial Fine Art, San Francisco. She also co-organized and participated in the project Collage Office, an experimental charitable platform for artists to make work for visitors by appointment at the Franklin, Chicago. Oresky holds a BFA from the School of the Art Institute of Chicago and an MFA from the University of Illinois at Chicago. She has attended residencies including Skowhegan School of Painting and Sculpture, Maine, and the Santa Fe Art Institute, New Mexico. Originally from Maryland, she lives and works in Normal, Illinois, where she is a professor of painting and drawing at Illinois State University. And I will go ahead and share my screen, which has your juror statement.
And I just want to say that jurying this was a lot of fun, just to see what people are making. So during the jurying process, I realized that almost any artwork can be considered a portal. It can be a physical threshold and a metaphorical conduit for new awareness. The frame of a painting or opening of a lens secures this meaning, even if the artwork doesn't follow the rules of a traditional picture space. Most of the artwork submitted also included literal signals of portalness, such as doorways, circular apertures, images nested inside of images, or otherwise held overt narratives of transformation. So when I picked the work, it was really the how of the signaling, rather than the whether, that became important in making my selections. What about being a portal makes it interesting? The works I ultimately chose for the exhibition were those that, for me, went somehow beyond the obvious answers to this question. The works I selected used a variety of means, figurative imagery, abstraction, symbols, language, and also, and this is something that's really important for me, the artist's materials. And when I say materials, I mean a material process, not just the actual materials. As curious agents of this transformation. So viewing artworks on a screen, unfortunately, is not the best way to experience materiality. But I think I did my best to sort of imagine that materiality looking through this screen that is our kind of constant portal to every place else and everything else. When I looked at the Jurors Awards, especially, I considered how each artist used or regarded their materials. I considered how their mark making and also how their care within their chosen craft or medium, whether it was paint, paper, fibers, wood, clay, or light and pixels, embodied a sense of transformation, helping me to feel and think with them. And sometimes the materiality of the work spoke in unison with, and sometimes ironically against the work's ostensible subject. So all of the works I chose felt playful and somehow effortless to me, even if they were clearly very labor intensive. And I just, before I start going through the artworks and kind of saying something about each of the ones I picked for the awards, I just want to say somebody else could have looked at the same body of submissions and picked a different show that would have been equally as interesting. Or they could have looked through the show I picked and chosen a different selection of awards. So these are definitely reflective of my tastes and interests and concerns in some way.
So let's go on to the awards. So
the first honorable mention was given to Robert Silence, 2 Doors with Steps. I love it when a photograph can show something so banal, but somehow otherworldly. And also, I really love the kind of weird asymmetrical symmetricality of this image, and also the sort of milky opacity of the color. The second honorable mention was given to Harriet Lesser for her piece called Excavating. I really felt like this is a kind of mysterious fragment of what felt like a glacier. And also I liked how the carving of the surface felt somehow in between a natural process and something the human hand would do. The third honorable mention was Robert Bruce Weston's Still Life with Tools for Harvest. I love the veneer surfaces in this, and I also love how this picture feels as a result of this kind of traditional furniture material, like kind of it would fit into a piece of furniture. The craft is really exquisite. And I also liked the sort of commentary on a picture within a picture within a picture. So for the first Juror's Choice Award, this is Erin Juliana's Tumescent. I love the way the kind of sausagey fiber bulges through and snakes under the grid. It makes a very subtle, or perhaps not so subtle, bodily reference, and it made me think about how maybe some of our most important portals are actually bodily orifices. The second Juror's Choice Award goes to Keith Owens, Puerta Secreto #2. I love the way this feels like an artifact, and also like a fragment of something massive. So there's this kind of in-betweenness of this one that, yeah, that was very compelling. The next Juror's Choice Award is Alex Curley, Winter's Reverie, High Point. I love the literal projection of a landscape image onto an interior space. I feel like the sort of trick of this is pretty direct, but it's also really exciting and effective. And I love the glowing pink and the warm color of the palette, especially in relationship to this kind of dim tonal gray space. So there's something that's kind of romantic and also kind of modest feeling about how it's painted. The next Juror's Choice Award goes to Claudia Borgna. Claudi, When Nature Becomes Art. And this is just a still from video piece that's like, I think 6 or 7 minutes long, that shows the artist working this piece of earth. And it has a soundtrack. So if there's a chance to link to the video itself and watch it, I think it's definitely worth watching. the video seems to be a documentation of performance by the artist. And we're seeing the labor of working the section of earth and how that labor connects to the artist's identity and body and places that whole activity into processes of time and regrowth and kind of reabsorption into the landscape. And then the last Juror's Choice Award goes to Adrienne Clark Hatfield, painting called The Somnambulist. I love all the different ways paint is used in here. There's drips, there's kind of rendering, there's kind of ink hatching and very controlled drawing, and everything sort of gets held together very seamlessly in this space where spills and puddles become kind of like memory portals. And I also really like the sort of rhyming of the sublime, romantic sublime landscape with the trees, with the sort of dystopian sublime landscape of the smokestacks.
I think that is all of them. Well,
Yeah.
Melissa, thank you so much. I think you picked a wonderful show, and thank you so much for doing this Juror Talk video.
Welcome. It's my pleasure. Take care.